Chapter 1, 135, 7th year, the Marauders Inter-House Prank Planning Co-operative. Wednesday, February 15th, 1978.
I can't believe you're holding this thing here,
Christopher said, agitatedly, as Remus unlocked the charms classroom.
Best way to avoid detection. Flitwick always lets me use it,
Remus replied.
Exactly. It's so brazen,
Christopher chided as they entered.
Brazen is our middle name,
James declared excitedly, following them.
Your middle name is Fleamont, you prat.
Sirius scoffed.
And this place is genius. No one will ever suspect anything. I knew your SWAT lessons would come in useful one day, Mooney.
A lot of people find Remus's study group very helpful, actually,
Christopher said primly, folding his arms and leaning against the wall.
Oh, Chris, he's just teasing.
Remus chuckled, setting his book bag down. He glanced at his pocket watch.
We're all nice and early, James. Have you got an agenda?
A what?
James turned around from the blackboard where he was directing the chalk to draw a gigantic lion with Gryffindor rules OK beneath it.
Never mind.
Remus sighed.
So who else got an invitation?
Christopher asked, over the top of his book, which seemed to have materialized from nowhere. Christopher was the only other person Remus knew who could go from 0 to reading in less than 3 seconds flat.
About 20 or 30 people, maybe.
Remus said.
Anyone who expressed an interest before Christmas who seemed trustworthy.
It was an extremely rigorous vetting process, actually,
James said, now standing on Flitwick's desk and trying to touch the ceiling with his fingertips.
Yeah, we almost didn't let Wormtail in.
Sirius barked with laughter from the window where he was leaning half out of it, smoking. Remus dearly wanted to go over there and wrap his arms around Sirius, steal the cigarette, which was probably one of his anyway, the thief, and kiss his neck. But the others would be arriving soon, and it was a completely mental line of thinking that.
Why do you all call Peter that?
Christopher asked.
Just a nickname.
Just a nickname.
Just a nickname,
They all said in unison. Peter arrived shortly after that, followed in by Mary, Lily, and Yasmin. Next were the 6th and 7th years from Remus's study group and Dorcas, who was still on friendly terms with Peter, apparently. Mary's latest squeeze, a Ravenclaw boy called Jonty Simmons, who looked like he couldn't believe his luck. And finally, much to Remus's distaste, Emmeline Vance sauntered in, 2 minutes late, with Roman Rotherhide. The room was pretty crowded after that, and noisy with the buzz of excitement. Most of the group had some idea why they were there, but others were curious, and all of them were fascinated by the Marauders. Sirius and James adored the attention, of course, and immediately took centre stage.
Now, we all know why we're here,
James started, using his Quidditch captain voice. Immediately, Emmeline Vance's arm shot up.
Sorry, but I don't.
Remus gave an impatient snort, and Christopher, sitting next to him, shot him a strange look. Nor do I. Dorcas raised her hand too, along with 1 or 2 6th years from Remus's study group.
Why did all of you come, then?
Sirius asked, eyebrows raised. A group of girls sitting at the back of the room giggled. Remus made a mental note. He'd tried to avoid inviting too many members of the Sirius Black fan club, but it was pretty unavoidable when that applied to half the school.
We're here to plan, an organised protest,
Christopher said, blushing a bit, because he wasn't used to speaking in front of lots of people.
Against Slytherin.
A 6th year shouted.
Yeah, I heard you lot were planning your biggest prank yet.
I heard one of you knows how to get to the monster out of the Chamber of Secrets.
I heard you were planning to blow up the dungeons.
One Hufflepuff boy squeaked.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
James held up his hands.
Bit less dramatic than that.
Well, if it's about getting the Slytherins back for all the nonsense they've pulled, I'm in, Emmeline said decisively, tossing her luxuriant blonde curls. Remus tutted loudly, and Chris shot him another look.
That's exactly what it's about, and exactly why we need all of you to keep quiet about it,
James said, getting into his flow now.
This is our last year, and we're inviting all of you to help us plan our final prank.
Does that make us Marauders?
The Hufflepuff boy squeaked again. There was an excited murmur.
No.
Peter said indignantly, though no one really paid him any attention.
I like to think of it as more of a collaboration,
James said thoughtfully.
An inter-house cooperative,
Sirius added. Everyone seemed pretty pleased with that. At least it sounded impressive and official enough.
Right.
James clapped his hands together and rubbed them, smiling round at everyone.
Now that's out of the way. Who's got some ideas?
20 hands shot up. Lily spoke up.
I think before we get into that, it might be good to have some ground rules.
Like what?
Sirius folded his arms grumpily.
Like not actually hurting anyone. This is just fun, okay? Not revenge for everything Slytherin's ever done.
She was using her head girl voice now, and a few people lowered their hands.
Fair enough,
James said, holding up his hands amicably, coming between Sirius and Lily.
No physical harm intended. And as I said before, no talking about it outside of this room, on pain of death. Joking, Evans.
He ducked as she went to slap the back of his head. After these initial teething problems, everyone seemed to enter into the spirit of the thing. Lots of people had ideas. From the extreme, Lily vetoed summoning a banshee to haunt the dungeons. To the subtle, Emily knew of a spell which would transfigure everyone's right shoe into a left shoe. She said she'd done it to her sister over the summer, and it had taken her 3 days to realise what had been bothering her. Eventually, time ran short, so James set everyone homework, requiring them to come back next week with an idea.
Then we can decide on the best one,
Sirius declared.
Who decides?
Mary narrowed her eyes.
Me, James, Pete, and Mooney, obviously.
Sirius raised his chin.
Can't we vote?
One of the sixth years asked.
Yeah, that seems fairer.
Mary nodded.
If we're all putting ourselves at risk of expulsion for you.
Expulsion?
Christopher bit his lip.
Surely not. Surely we won't go that far.
Will we get in trouble, though?
The Hufflepuff boy raised his hand again. Everyone looked at him.
Not much.
Sirius shrugged.
Bit of detention never hurt anyone.
No, sorry, I don't mean detention.
The boy shook his head nervously.
I mean with... You know the Slytherins. They won't tell the Death Eaters to get us, will they?
Sirius looked about to laugh when he realised that the atmosphere in the room had changed. A few people looked very awkward. Some of them were whispering amongst themselves. Remus could even smell a whiff of real fear creeping into the room. Everybody seemed to have tensed up a bit. Of course, Sirius and James did not worry about that sort of thing. This was all part of the crusade of chaos they'd been on since they were 11. Even Remus had been pretty flippant about the magnitude of the prank, but he saw now that it meant a lot more to those gathered in the room. James, Sirius and Peter were the only purebloods in attendance, unless you counted Christopher, who had his own axe to grind with the Slytherins. James stood up again, pushing off Flitwick's desk and drawing himself to full height.
Absolutely not. No one in this room is getting hurt because of this prank.
A few people relaxed. After all, James Potter, heir to the sleek, easy fortune, head boy, Quidditch captain and leading mischief maker, was somebody that most people trusted. Remus believed him wholeheartedly. Even if the issue had not been raised, it would have been a point of honour for James to protect anyone smaller than him. Lily was beaming at him too, and Sirius looked very pleased, as if that had settled everything.
Right.
Lily clapped her hands together now, taking the floor again.
See you all again next week, I suppose. I think we'd all better leave in small groups. Don't want to draw attention to ourselves.
With that, the room slowly returned to normal, groups of students now chattering excitedly about ideas they'd had or curses they'd like to try out. Lily assumed her head girl voice and started directing people out of the room in groups of 3 or 4 at short intervals. The Marauders turned inwards to confer.
Bloody hell.
James muttered, so that he wouldn't be overheard.
That was intense.
What did you expect? Mary tutted, hoisting herself up onto the desk and swinging her legs. This isn't a game to everyone. Some people are out for revenge.
Then that's what we'll give them,
Sirius said fiercely. He had that brightness in his eyes that told Remus he would be utterly unbearable for the next few hours. A plan was afoot, and nothing could bring Sirius down from that kind of excitement. Calm down, Black, Mary teased. You're school kids, not generals.
For now,
he replied darkly. Okay, you lot. Lily turned back into the room. It was only the 7 of them left. We'll go back in 2 groups, because no one is going to believe you 4 weren't up to something. Mary, James, Lily and Peter left first, with instructions for Remus, Sirius and Christopher to give them a 10-minute head start. Remus was a bit reluctant about this, but there was no way to bring it up. He couldn't help remembering what had happened the last time he and Christopher were alone in that classroom with Sirius. Though, of course, Christopher hadn't known Sirius was there at the time, and nor would Remus ever tell him. They tidied up the desks, cleared the chalkboard of James's lion, then stood about awkwardly for a little bit.
Let's play truth or dare.
Sirius grinned.
Why?
Remus sighed, leaning on the desk. Here we go.
Pass the time.
Or we could just have a normal conversation.
Christopher wants to, don't you, Christopher? Great. You can go first. Truth or dare? What do you fancy?
Chris's eyes flicked between Remus and Sirius nervously.
I don't... truth?
Excellent. Start off easy, if it's your first time playing.
Sirius nodded encouragingly.
Let me see. Okay. Why did you want to get involved with the prank?
What?
You know. How come you came today?
Chris has been involved since the beginning, Padfoot, you know that.
Remus tutted.
Right. So what made you get involved in the first place, then?
If you have to know,
Christopher said, rather icily.
It was your brother.
Sirius, to his credit, did not flinch.
Fair enough. He's a right little prick.
He nodded. He licked his lips and glanced at Remus, then back at Chris.
Sure there was no other reason?
No.
I'll go next,
Remus said quickly.
Chris, you can ask me to do a dare.
He never picked truth. It was far too dangerous. Christopher bit his lip, still a bit thrown by this whole thing.
Oh, I don't know. I'm crap at this sort of thing.
I've got a good one,
Sirius said at once. He winked at Remus, then leaned over and whispered in Chris's ear. Christopher's eyes widened and he laughed, covering his mouth.
Okay, Remus.
Chris was still blushing, but he was having fun now.
Okay, you have to write something rude on the blackboard and leave it there.
I gave you specifics.
Sirius complained.
I'm not saying that out loud.
Christopher laughed, turning even redder. Remus could easily guess the tone of Sirius's suggestion. He raised an eyebrow wryly, as if under duress.
Okay, fine, I'll do it.
He went up to the board and picked up some chalk. He considered it for a moment.
How rude?
He asked the other two, casually.
Very.
Christopher said, smirking shyly.
Well, it's the rules of the game, I suppose.
Remus began to draw, enjoying the snickering over his shoulder as he deftly traced out the first rude thing that popped into his head. He stepped back, an artist admiring his work. The other two boys stood either side of him, grinning madly.
Well?
He asked. Sirius slapped him on the back.
Mooney, me old pal, it's the biggest knob I've ever seen.
Well, that's a relief.
Remus smirked, forgetting Christopher was there. He didn't seem to notice, or else just assumed that it was Marauder humour, which it sort of was.
Glorious.
The younger boy nodded, still very pink about the cheeks.
Come on, then.
Remus set down the chalk.
That's enough of a gap. We can go now. Common room.
Oi, I've not had my turn yet.
Sirius folded his arms.
What's the point?
Remus shook his head.
You always choose a dare, and there's nothing I can think of that you'd even think twice about doing.
Are you saying I'm the bravest?
Stupidest, maybe.
Remus teased, elbowing him in the ribs.
Come on, let's go.
They left the classroom and set off through the quiet hallways back to Gryffindor Tower. It was fairly late in the evening now, and curfew was only a couple of hours off, so they were alone most of the way, other than the portraits, who were enjoying the peace and quiet.
Did you finish Maurice, Remus?
Chris asked, always back to books.
Nearly,
Remus replied.
Just a chapter or two to go. Do you promise me it's a happy ending?
Definitely.
Chris nodded.
You'll love it. I was thinking, if you're free on Saturday, we could have a chat about it in the Three Broomsticks. I'd really like to know what you think.
Yeah, maybe.
Remus was torn between his desire not to disappoint Christopher, which he always seemed to be doing, and his keen awareness of Sirius's very mercurial mood.
Don't see why not.
Is that the Muggle book you've been reading?
Sirius asked.
Is it good then?
Yeah, quite good.
Remus nodded cautiously.
Great. Maybe I'll read it then. I can get it done by Saturday. I read faster than you.
You do not.
Remus scowled, scandalized.
Well, I have more time to read anyway.
Only because you hardly go to half your lessons.
Remus shot back.
I doubt it's your sort of thing, Sirius.
Christopher spoke up. They both looked at him. He shrugged.
Well, it's not. Tell him what it's about, Remus.
But it was too late. Sirius was already rummaging in the book bag at Remus's hip as they walked, and at once withdrew the text. Remus fought the urge to snatch it back, only because he'd underlined some parts of it, just because he'd liked them so much, and he was embarrassed about it now. I think you're beautiful, the only beautiful person I've ever seen. I love your voice and everything to do with you, down to your clothes or the room you are sitting in. I adore you. Fortunately, Sirius didn't flip through the pages, only looked at the back cover, frowning slightly.
Isn't this one of my uncles?
He asked.
Yeah, you said I could borrow it.
Remus rubbed the back of his head.
Is it dirty?
No.
Oh well. I'll read it anyway.
Sirius poked out his tongue.
That can be my dare.
Very brave.
Remus grabbed back the book and shoved it in his bag.
But it's about...
Christopher frowned. They were almost at the portrait hole now, and Sirius stopped, making all three of them stop too. Sirius looked at Remus, raising an eyebrow. He nodded to Chris.
He makes a lot of assumptions, this one.
Remus was surprised to find that his own cheeks were heating up too. He shrugged.
He doesn't know you very well.
Oi, Christopher.
Sirius shot him a very wicked look.
Dare me to snog Mooney?
What?
Christopher looked stricken, as if he knew there was a joke somewhere, but he couldn't figure out the punchline. Sirius wasted no time. He took Remus's head, roughly, and pulled him in for a kiss. Remus gave in. It was a bit mean, but he could hardly refuse. If it was a test of loyalty, or simply something Sirius thought would be funny, he had to go along with it. Oh, for Merlin's sake. A voice came from further up the corridor, causing Sirius and Remus to spring apart. I'm away for a week, and the castle turns into an orgy. All three boys spun around to see Marlene standing there in her travelling cloak, duffel bag at her side. She gave them a knowing smirk. What a load of queers.